Good evening. This is Maestro Portello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Tonight, we have a 1 versus 1 on Calderis Refinery. First, we have Zoukka as this really tough Chaos Lord, a very durable hero, tanky melee hero, good also as a melee counter. Does not actually start off doing that much damage, but can be upgraded to do some really good damage. One of the best heroes in the game, in my opinion, if not the best. On the other side, we have Stoned Elf Boy as this slightly tanky Commissar Lord. He has an energy shield that's free, but it's the worst energy shield in the game. Only has a 2.5 to 1 damage to energy ratio, but this Commissar is still pretty good. Players a lot of Imperial Guard players kind of just run him around fighting things, and he does really well. So anyway, this is a 1 versus 1. I kind of actually like casting 1 versus 1s. They're certainly not as much fun to watch as the 3v3s. But I actually kind of like the slower pace because it means I can talk more. And one of the reasons I got into casting was so that I can kind of talk and share my opinions about things. And with 1 versus 1, there are just more lulls in the action, and the action is slower paced overall, that I can kind of go into more detail into some things. Like, for example, right now we actually see that Zoukka has taken the map control advantage, which is kind of surprising. He does have both 2 victory points, as well as 2 requisition points over here. And I think that's kind of surprising, just in the sense that certainly in Tier 1, Imperial Guard starts out with the better map control, I think. Their units are faster. Imperial Guard units have speed 5.5, while most Chaos units have speed 5. The Chaos Lord himself only has speed 4.5. And then the Sentinel can't cap, but it can decap, and it does have speed 8, so it can run around a lot. I also think this Tier 1 build we have from Stoned Elf Boy is the best Tier 1 in the game. Mainly because of the Sentinel, which does range damage. Not very good range damage, but it does range damage without bleeding. And that means it can also stay on the field without retreating for a long time while bleeding enemy units, and it just gets repaired by these guardsmen. That being said, the Chaos Lord is a pretty powerful offensive force, and I think he's kind of used the power of that Chaos Lord. It was actually pushed up right in front of Stoned Elf Boy's base. Basically just because that Chaos Lord can be so tough to force off. And then Zoukka's gone for a very traditional Chaos build, double Heretics, and 1 Chaos Space Marine squad. In this matchup, he'll probably want to turn at least 1, if not both of those Heretic squads into grenade launcher Heretics. Melee Heretics are not quite as good against the Imperial Guard. Melee Heretics are usually used as a melee counter for other melee units. They can certainly still be used against ranged units too, and they'll be very good at that. But the Doom Blast ability is very good as a melee counter. A melee counter isn't needed as much against Imperial Guard, but a ranged fire is needed against Imperial Guard, because most of the Imperial Guard army will just kind of focus you down if you try to close into melee. And then if you do get into melee, the Sentinel right here will use the Stomp from the Ground Pound to basically just stun and disrupt any melee unit that gets close, and then that melee unit will get focus fired and then kited again, even if it gets back up and gets away from the stun. Havoc's out now for Zoukka. Normally pretty good against Imperial Guard, certainly good against the Sentinel, since it will do damage to the Sentinel and also limit the space that the Sentinel can move in, because the Sentinel needs to stay away from the Havoc. It can afford to take some damage from the Havoc as long as it gets repairs, but it can't get too close to the Havoc or it will start taking a lot of damage, and that's actually one of the ways you can wipe a Sentinel in Tier 1. The Sentinel, for the most part, simply does not get wiped in Tier 1 when played by an experienced Imperial Guard player. Usually not unless they've lost track of it, or they've kind of have some pathing issues, or if they've left it in a really bad position. But again, we're talking about more experienced players who know what they're doing, and right now, Stoned Elf Boy actually needs to kind of move it out there, taking a few too many hits and letting his Sentinel get surrounded a little too much. He does have Catachandelas right here to kind of support, but that Sentinel still needs to be careful. Stoned Elf Boy is a good Imperial Guard player. Probably Definitely one of the better ones around right now, so I would be really surprised to see him actually lose his Sentinel in Tier 1. So these 1v1s, again, they're a little slower paced than the 3v3s. Sometimes there are just lulls in the action. This Chaos Lord uses Kill the Weak to get some health back, will ultimately get out of there alive. Guardsmen force melee, but they really just don't do enough damage in melee. Actually, wow, they're getting pretty close. Will they wipe this Chaos Lord? No way. They actually might have wiped that Chaos Lord if it weren't for this Havoc Squad covering there, and that was a good use of the Havoc Squad. And the Havoc Squad is covering a pretty good arc, basically covering this entire entrance. So that basically means that, at least with his current build, Stoned Elf Boy would either have to come around here, or come around here, or he would have to use those Catachan Devils to disrupt with Old Reliable, and then focus fire with the Sentinel and the Guardsman. So we still see melee Heretics, and I'm surprised to see that, because, again, melee Heretics, right now they're not doing a whole lot besides capping and bleeding. They will be good against the Guardsmen, but that's pretty much it. You don't actually want to put them in battle with the Catachan Devils. Catachan Devils do a ton of damage in melee, and then even before the Heretics will get in melee with Catachans, the Catachans can use the Shotgun Blast to knock the Heretics over, and then they actually do really good damage with their shotguns too. Chaos Space Marines capping this middle, so Zoukka is going to take away that 2-cap from Stoned Elf Boy. Havoc's now covering this firing arc. Pretty smart, so some good anticipation by Zoukka with that Havoc. Basically just kind of knowing what areas to cover with that Havoc. The only problem is that the Sentinel, in a way, actually kind of does counter the Havoc. If you keep the Sentinel at maximum range, repair it, and then just have it shoot at the Havocs, it will start bleeding the Havocs and eventually start killing their models, while the Sentinel just gets repaired without bleeding at all. So you can't really just have the Havoc alone. You do need to support it with other units. Tier 2 already for Zoukka. Stoned Elf Boy just started to Tier 2. And Zoukka makes his first Tier 2 purchase, Armor of the Inferno, which is actually a very good choice. Basically going to counter any Guardsman squad that comes into contact with the Chaos Lord. We don't see the Combi Flamer for the Chaos Lord. I think that would be a very good choice. In fact, in this matchup, I think that's pretty much the only weapon upgrade you should get unless you have to deal with Ogrins. Meanwhile, backcapping from Stoned Elf Boy, getting the natural victory point with these Catachan Devils, and then actually got a full cap on Zoukka's natural requisition. And Catachan Devils, they actually stopped the decap, or they stopped the cap, and then they put improvised explosives right here. I don't know if Zoukka really caught onto that. Zoukka, meanwhile, he did the thing that I don't like, which is he put an Aspiring Champion on his Chaos Space Marines, and Eternal War is going to make them, certainly going to make them a lot stronger, do more damage, as well as make them more durable. But getting Mark of Tzeentch is the better single upgrade that you can put on your Chaos Space Marines. And that Mark of Tzeentch will be very good against all unit types. It's not like Plasma, where it actually has a damage reduction against regular infantry. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines still do full damage against infantry, and then they actually do bonus damage to heavy infantry and do full damage to super heavy infantry. So Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines are actually one of the ways that you take out a Sentinel. Pretty much like, you play Chaos, you do not take out the Sentinel in Tier 1, but you will take it out in Tier 2 pretty much if you upgrade it to the Mark of Tzeentch. Chaos Lord, unfortunately, gets overextended, ends up fighting the entire Imperial Guard army, and goes down. So that's going to be the Chaos Lord off the field for a little while. Chaos Dreadnought from Zoukka now. Chaos Dreadnought, certainly a good choice in general, and certainly going to be very good in this matchup too. The only thing, main thing that Zoukka is going to have to watch out for are these Stormtroopers. Not anymore, actually. Stormtroopers have the Assault Kit, so they cannot be upgraded to the Anti-Armor Kit, so that's actually going to make this Chaos Dreadnought very good. Stoned Elf Boy right now does not have any actual AV. He does not have any AV, period. He has the Power Sword on his Commissar, which is very good for dealing with these Power Armor units, and good in general. Does 50 DPS power melee. Also has a battle cry-like ability, but it's called Lead by Example. And he has Stubbornness, going to make him regenerate his health whenever he's near a guardsman. Catachan Devils throwing down another improvised explosive, I think, right by this power node. And now, yeah, this Sentinel in a little bit of trouble. Something happened right there. Oh, the Sentinel upgraded to the missile launcher, so that will be AV for him. And he actually detonated some of the Commissar Lord mines with, I think, the frag missiles from that Sentinel missile launcher. So that Sentinel missile launcher is really good in my opinion. It does area of effect damage with the frag missiles. It's basically like a grenade launcher, like grenade launcher heretics, in fact. And it will do a lot of damage to these bunched up heretics, which, by the way, still do not have grenade launchers. I guess he just wants to keep them as melee. Finally, we do have these Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, though. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines are very good. And this Chaos Dreadnought, I think, pushing up a little too much. And I missed it, but zoukka lost his Havoc Squad. I think we're gonna have a, yeah, we're gonna have a Let the Galaxy Burn right here. And somehow a lot of that kind of missed, which is kind of sad. The Chaos Lord certainly has to be careful around these Catachan Devils. Actually going for the Blood Maul on the Chaos Lord. Oh. And these Catachan Devils that are backtracking. Wow, a ton of model losses on that. Basically, that Chaos Heretic Squad just lost all of its models. Catachan Devils at half health, but not losing any models. The Commissar, oh, is going to wipe that Heretic Squad. I think zoukka just didn't see it, so that's the end of that Heretic Squad. Commissar Lord actually changed weapons to the Power Fist. Going to be good against vehicles. Probably got it basically to deal with that Dreadnought. The Commissar Lord himself can't really deal with a Dreadnought, though. I mean, he's certainly going to do damage to it, but just 1 versus 1, the Commissar versus a Dreadnought will still favor the Dreadnought. And in general, a hero versus a Dreadnought will favor a Dreadnought. The main exception would probably have to be the Force Commander, since he can use Flesh over Steel, which will disable its weapons. But basically just, usually a Dreadnought will do more damage to a hero and kill a hero before the hero will kill the Dreadnought. So you need some kind of other source of AV. And Stone Delphoy has that. He's got the Las Cannon heavy weapon team. It's actually the best Las Cannon in the game. Has the highest DPS because it has the fastest rate of fire. Also going to have the most health. Upgraded to a Sergeant, which means it will have an energy shield once it is set up, and that energy shield will protect it from both knockback and suppression. Commissar Lord certainly takes quite a bit of damage. I think that was a direct missile hit from the Sentinel on the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord's going to start getting focused down, though. Alright, that Las Cannon sets up. One of the things I hate about Las Cannons is that they will start shooting at infantry units when you kind of don't want them to, because then they'll sometimes kind of give away the surprise. Ideally, you want your Las Cannon to start out as a surprise, like all of a sudden you get hit. Your opponent gets hit by the Las Cannon. I think Stone Delphoy actually used a Basilisk Flare, the Flare Global, to get sight on that Dreadnought and then start shooting it with the Las Cannon. Chaos Lord is in here, does get stopped, now really has to go or he will get wiped. Alright, he will get out of there alive. This autocannon Dreadnought, only 3 units from zoukka, but now this Dreadnought is in a lot of trouble. Does have to deal with that Sentinel, which actually has a missile launcher, so it can do damage. That Sentinel changed to the crack missiles so that it can do AV damage. And zoukka with only... He's making a play that he was about to make a play that I kind of didn't agree with, which was he was going to get another Dreadnought. He did cancel that Dreadnought. The problem with getting another Dreadnought at this point is that right now he's capping with his Heretics and is not even repairing this Dreadnought, which is almost dead. It's almost dead, and it's like gonna die in 1 or 2 more hits, and he's not even really repairing it. With 2 Dreadnoughts, he would not have enough repair support to support 2 Dreadnoughts. And if he doesn't have enough repair support to deal with 2 Dreadnoughts, that means both his Heretics and one of the Dreadnoughts would be off the field. As it is, he went for Bloodletters. I think the main reason he got that was to deal with the heavy weapon team. If they teleport into the heavy weapon team, they can actually reasonably stand a chance to wipe it entirely, unless Stoned Elfboy is paying attention really fast. Since Bloodletters, they do teleport, they are a melee unit, and they have high DPS. They do power melee now, so they, instead of heavy melee, so they're not really that great against vehicles anymore. They can still kind of do light AV, and just look at how much damage that Sentinel took from the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. And if he's not careful, yeah, that, I was gonna say that, yeah, that Sentinel does go down, and it should have gone down. And wow, Let the Galaxy Burn doing a ton of damage to Guardsmen, almost wipes the squad, in fact. And Old Reliable completely misses from the Catachan Devils. This Chaos Lord taking too much damage, though. Possibly going to go down. Yes, he's going to go down now, I think. Alright, I think he will get out of there. But he was going after the Catachan Devils, which was not really a great idea. But, I mean, he wanted to get a kill of the week, and I think he did get a little bit of a kill of the week off. But this Blood Maul build, unfortunately, not working out too well for him. I really like the Combi Flamer, especially in this matchup. Both players have roughly even resources. Bloodletters teleport into these guardsmen that are going after generators. And if Stoned Elfboy does not pay attention, he will lose these guardsmen. But he is paying attention. He needs to get the heretics in the retreat path of the guardsmen, as well as that dreadnought. Oh man, if he had gotten the heretics in the retreat path of the guardsmen, as well as the dreadnought, he probably would have taken out that guardsman squad. So heretics are great retreat killers. And wow, Bloodletters in here. Melee and Catachan Devils might take them out. Does not take them out. Oh, these are temporary Bloodletters. So it doesn't even matter if they die. Temporary Bloodletters from, I think, the summoning... No, not the Summoning Circle ability. Summoning Circle is the Chaos Sorcerer. In this case, that was the Blood Sacrifice ability. And this Dreadnought stuck in between mines, taking damage from those mines. Zoukka using his resources to go to Tier 3. Stoned Elfboy using his resources to get more Tier 2 units. This is kind of interesting considering Stoned Elfboy is doing slightly better on the fighting. And I think if anything, Stoned Elfboy would have been able to better afford to go to Tier 3 and get another unit. Or go to Tier 3, while Zoukka probably would have been better off staying in Tier 2 a bit and getting more units from Tier 2. Although Zoukka not doing too bad on the resources. If he waits a little bit longer, he might be able to get a Predator out, but his upkeep is killing him. He's only at plus 190 requisition, and that's both the upkeep as well as the fact that he doesn't have a lot of these requisition points on the side. He is going for some caps right now, but his Chaos Lord is taking a lot of damage. And he tries to shoot some fireballs down the cliff, but they just kind of collide with this heavy cover. Unfortunately, I think Zoukka's build, his Chaos Lord build, is, to be honest, kind of countered by most of the Imperial Guard army. There's a lot of ranged DPS coming from the Imperial Guard between 2 Guardsman squads, a Catachan Devil squad, as well as an Assault Kit Stormtrooper squad. Bloodletters teleport into Assault Kit Stormtroopers. They're kind of kiting around. Now the Chaos Lord is chasing down these Assault Kit Stormtroopers as well. The Commissar Lord does have Flak Jacket, and I think he actually executed one of the Bloodletters. And now these Bloodletters in a little bit of trouble. I think he needs to retreat them out of there at this point. They're already down to 2 members, using that invincibility to not die. And now we do have the Chaos Lord fighting right here, and he's disrupting these Ogrins, but it's ultimately a losing battle for him. To be honest, I think the Lightning Claws are kind of just a better weapon. I mean, the Blood Maul can certainly still do pretty well. It's 100 DPS melee, so it's certainly still a lot of damage, but I think the Lightning Claws are ultimately better. Both the ability on the Lightning Claws, as well as just the Lightning Claws themselves, especially the fact now that the Lightning Claws do power melee, while the Blood Maul doesn't. And this is probably going to be a full gen bash by Stoned Elfboy. And Zoukka has a Predator out now, but it's a Nurgle Predator. That means it does have more health, and it now has anti-infantry shells that do damage over time, but it's also going to get chased by these Ogrins much more easily because its speed is lower than normal. Anyway, Zoukka actually did win a fight in the middle, and he's probably just going to run his Dreadnought over all this cover that Stoned Elfboy built. You rarely see this cover built, but that does mean that that Zoukka will get this middle back. Takes out 2 Ogren models. Can he get a 3rd one? It's actually that could have been pretty nice in terms of wiping the squad. I wonder what Zoukka could have done to wipe the squad right there. Unfortunately, I missed it, but Zoukka lost the Chaos Heretic squad, but he did wipe that Commissar from Stoned Elfboy. But Zoukka, without a Chaos Heretic squad, is kind of trouble just because he can't support that Chaos Predator, which is exactly why he's making a Chaos Heretic his next build. Basically, if you have vehicles, you kind of also need to have whatever the base unit is for your race so that you can support it with repairs. And Zoukka, again, he didn't get that 2nd Dreadnought, but he kind of does have 2 vehicles right now, and 2 vehicles with large health pools. It's going to be tough to support those vehicles since he can once one of them has taken damage, it needs to be off the field. And this is also going to be tough now with Stoned Elfboy really having abundant sources of AV. Well, maybe not abundant, but he has 2, and two fairly good ones that will also synergize very well with each other. If he can get a las cannon shot on one of those vehicles, and then the Ogrins can close in for melee, he can reasonably threaten to wipe either one of the vehicles right there. What Zoukka's going to have going for him is the fact that he has 2 vehicles, so he can reasonably use one of those vehicles to threaten the other one. Just by doing enough damage. But actually, he really also needs to focus on getting those vehicles out of there because the las cannon will just continue to do damage. And these Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines are going to have to do their job too. They will be very good against basically taking out Ogren models. And right now, Stoned Elfboy not reinforcing those Ogrins, and his AV potential won't be as good with them off the field as if they were on the field. Both players just kind of staring each other down. Zoukka has the 2-cap. Wow! Oh, is he going to wipe the heavy weapon team? Wow! Okay, so in just that one play, that definitely helps Zoukka out a lot. But Stoned Elfboy also has another heavy weapon team. This one is an autocannon. Will not be as good for AV as the las cannon, but it's still another AV source. So he actually had 3 sources of AV that I did not even know about. Now we have a heavy turret. A heavy turret. Does this look like a heavy turret? This is a bunker. Might even put his heavy weapon team in the bunker. Maybe not. Sets it up right here. Has pretty good range. And Stoned Elfboy also being quite a pest with basically just running around a Flamer Guardsman squad and getting those power bashes. And also, that's also just drawing off some of Zoukka's forces. In this case, right now, it's drawing off the Chaos Lord. Stoned Zoukka is sitting on enough red, almost enough red, to do an Imperial Abyss. Not yet, though. Bunker already upgraded. Probably, yeah, it's a Medi bunker. We can see that because it's it's healing all of these guardsmen. And this, not good plays by Zoukka. He now has, it is a Mark of Khorne Dreadnought, and it is surrounded. We do have Bloodletters being spawned, but I think these heretics might be in a little bit of trouble. Bloodletters go down. I think that Mark of Khorne Dreadnought might go down as well. And it does. And I think that's also going to be the end of those heretics. So, unfortunately, a bad engagement for Zoukka. Still does have this Nurgle Predator. And although it's a bad engagement for Zoukka, he is still managed to actually keep a lot of his units on the field. But now he's down to just Chaos Space Marine Squad and this Predator. So this is not looking good for Zoukka. He still has the VP leads, 200 to 100, and he's the one still out on the field. But this Commissar Lord is still here too. Anyway, this bunker. The bunker is probably going to go down. Maybe, but Guardsmen are coming back. The only problem, let's see, zoukka, Stoned Elf Boy. Stoned Elf Boy did lose his autocannon heavy weapon team, so his AV is considerably weaker than before, but zoukka also does not have as much, he also does not have as much stuff to stop those Ogrins. He basically only has, well, not basically, he literally only has the Chaos Space Marines, which are level 4, and they will do a ton of damage. He does also have that Chaos Lord, but the Chaos Lord is off the field. This Predator doing some damage, but there is a Melt-A-Gun on that Catachan Devil Squad. It will be doing some light AV damage, enough to threaten this Predator. They're actually closing for melee, I think, because they just do power melee damage at very high base DPS. Commissar Mines from Stoned Elf Boy, so it looks like Stoned Elf Boy will, at the very least, get this 2-cap back right here. And I'm actually really surprised zoukka staying in the game after taking so many losses from that last engagement. Stoned Elf Boy gonna risk taking losses from these Catachan Devils. Will not lose the squad, but is right now definitely losing models. Stoned Elf Boy getting another heavy weapon team. Unfortunately, right now, it's kind of looking like Stoned Elf Boy. Oh, I did forget that he does have the Commissar Lord with the Power Fist. Certainly going to be doing some damage to that Predator. But the Commissar Lord is getting forced off. Let the Galaxy burn on those Guardsmen. And now Disruption on the Ogrins. Stoned Elf Boy, I think actually, although Stoned Elf Boy is definitely winning on the fighting overall, he is definitely having some trouble keeping up with the cost of his reinforcements. zoukka, meanwhile, does have 500 requisition. He can just put a Chaos Space Marine squad on the field, or a Heretic squad. He could definitely use some repair support for that Chaos Predator. It's not that low on health. It's actually a level 4 and at 1600 health. But I mean, if he doesn't have repair support for it, it's just kind of gonna be attrition over time. And unfortunately, part of the problem with zoukka's build, and I say build because it's more about what he has left. Wow, is that okay? Neural Predator actually is good anti-garrison. So, and that's something that's new. Well, and maybe not good anti-garrison, but it is anti-garrison. We do have a heavy weapon team right here, upgrading to a las cannon as well. Now we actually have Noise Marines with the Blastmaster. And zoukka actually gets a Havoc squad out. Not a bad choice, but I think zoukka is getting a little bit overwhelmed. Needs to start taking some shots. Needs to watch out for that las cannon. And he's moving his Chaos Predator forward when he's taking las cannon hits, not reacting fast enough. And now he absolutely needs to get a Heretic squad out on the field so he can support that Predator. His Chaos Lord is level 8 magnificently or unbelievably. I guess he has been able to actually get in melee a bit. This heavy weapon team taking some damage. And now an Imperial Abyss. Unfortunately hits basically nothing. Pulls in Chaos Space Marines. Oh man. He's actually losing a lot of his own Chaos Space Marines from that Imperial Abyss. And that Imperial Abyss, although zoukka is winning this engagement, does win that engagement, but loses 2 Chaos Space Marines, including an Aspiring Champion. I think he kind of lost it to his own Imperial Abyss. Does win that engagement, turning his Havoc squad into an autocannon Havoc squad. Unfortunately, does not take out this bunker. What he needs to do is actually attack ground with the Noise Marines on the bunker. He knows exactly where the bunker is. I think it will actually he will actually even be able to see it with the Fog of War, and he really just needs to attack ground there because there will actually be nothing that Stoned Elf Boy can do, and the Noise Marines will actually just straight up destroy the bunker. Unfortunately, I guess he doesn't quite know, but that would take out the bunker for him and would do a lot for him in terms of helping him win this game. Guardsmen right here, just kind of standing around. I don't know if they're going for decaps. Right now, the resource points are probably not going to matter that much. But instead, I think what he's probably doing is he's going to go for a flank. And it won't... Oh, and this Chaos Predator, again, taking more hits. Oh, not going for a flank, going for a decap. Smart move. But these Chaos Space Marines, if they turn around and go for those guys... Oh, and we have Noise Marines right here. A second Noise Marine squad. Very interesting build. It needs to go for these guardsmen, though. And zoukka, I think, kind of on autopilot. Kind of moved those guys a little while ago. Told them to go to the middle. Guardsmen could potentially get the cap off. Gonna take a lot of losses, though. No, guardsmen will die. They will die if they stay in there too much longer. More mines from Stoned Elf Boy. Fighting going down right here, and zoukka loses his Chaos Lord. And that's unfortunate, because right now the Chaos Lord will not be able to get back out on the field very fast. Oh, Commissar Mines, I think, gonna wipe that Heretic squad. And this Chaos Predator, unfortunately, is kind of just staying in range of the las cannon. It will go down, I think. And yeah, that Chaos Predator is done. Yeah. So Noise Marines certainly doing some damage to this las cannon. The las cannon, meanwhile, actually has no more use now. But these Catachan Devils are right in here with the basically trying to force melee. He needs to get Noise Marines out there. He also needs to get Chaos Space Marines, but Chaos Space Marines are in base. This looks like it's going to be... Oh man, zoukka still has 2 points, but he's really definitely on the losing end of the fighting right now. Catachan Devils chase down those Noise Marines. Might even go for a decap right now. They could actually probably do that and get it off just by keeping them busy. Grenade from the Stormtroopers. Assault Kit Stormtroopers now get a grenade in the Elite mod. And this Noise Marine squad is dead. Wow. And, you know, after all that, down to 10 victory points now for Stoned Elf Boy. I think he actually will win this game. His Catachan Devils actually get a decap off. I don't know if they can survive to get the cap off, but they are setting down improvised explosives. What a smart play. That will actually stall out a recap from Chaos, basically. And zoukka, now with no Aspiring Champion Heretics, will not even be able to see that. Although, even if this does go down, I think it will disrupt. It does disrupt and stop the cap, but it doesn't even take out any Chaos Space Marine models just because of the way they were positioning. We have an invisible Tzeentch model right here, kind of just a little bit of a bug. And we have the Chaos Lord right here, kind of misses with his Let the Galaxy Burn. But at this point, I don't know if zoukka can really take back the middle. He does have almost enough red to do another Imperial Abyss, but I don't think he'll have enough in time to get that middle victory point back. Unfortunately, I think one of the key plays that really could have changed the tide of this game would have been taking out that bunker with the Noise Marines while he had the chance. He could have just attacked ground right where this bunker was, and it would have actually destroyed the bunker. So this looks like it will probably be the final engagement. I, to be honest, don't really see it going in zoukka's favor. Stoned Elf Boy just has a huge army now. These level 4 Flamer Guardsmen kind of just running to the side, burning generators, kind of keeping zoukka in not having that much resources. And Plasma Gun Stormtroopers at level 3, getting reinforced by the bunker. This is it, pretty much. Zoukka can't really break this line. His Chaos Lord does not have enough health to... I don't think his Chaos Lord has enough health to get this decap off without going down. And now we actually have a flank from Assault Kit Stormtroopers. Probably going to go for a grenade on these Noise Marines. And there's also an improvised explosive. Stoned Elf Boy needs to use it, though, so that it actually goes off. Or the game is actually... Wow. And zoukka actually gets the decap off, but loses his Noise Marines. And now I especially think this game is going to go in favor of Stoned Elf Boy. Keeps disrupting those Ogrins. The improvised explosive finally go off. And Chaos Space Marines still capping. But those Chaos Space Marines go down. And that has to be the game. So this game went on even longer than I thought it would be. It was a very long 35-minute game. And now we do have an Abyss going off somewhere. And that was actually kind of a misplay, I think. Maybe. He does get that point. I mean, he does stop the decap. He did not kill the Guardsman squad right here. So again, that Imperial Abyss does the most damage where you see those center rings. So it wiped the Catachan Devil squad because it was right on top of the Catachan Devils. But it left the Guardsman squad alive, and they just retreated out of there. And then Stone Delphoy still has his Commissar in here. Had plenty of units in here to resume the cap. Autocannon Havocs try to walk in there, trying to fight, just getting blown up by mines. Zoukka calls the GG, Stone Delphoy calls the GG. It was quite a good game. Hope you enjoyed it. And there we go. That is the cast. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.